Trump is stronger today politically than he was before. I think the espionage charges are ridiculous. I think what happened to Hillary Clinton, where she got away with it, is very similar to what happened to the President Trump. And we'll have an election and we'll have a trial. But I promise you this, most Americans believe, most Republicans believe, that the law is used as a weapon against Donald Trump.
Republican Senator Lindsey Graham just minutes ago on ABC News, the same guy who in the immediate wake of January 6th said enough is enough, the same guy who said that Donald Trump is not fit to be president. Ruth Ben-Ghiat, NYU professor of history, is back with me. Ruth, Lindsey Graham is a one-man study in what authoritarians can achieve. This is a guy who hated Donald Trump. He ran against Donald Trump. He told the world that Donald Trump is unfit to be president. He criticized Donald Trump on January 6th, and now he's talking about the weaponization of government against Donald Trump.
Yes, he even, I have a photo of it somewhere, he even had himself photographed watching Donald Trump on television. And there's a whole genre of authoritarian art called watching the leader on television or video or listening to the leader on the radio. Now, Lindsey Graham is one of the saddest cases and most significant because, you know, before Trump, there was some kind of bipartisan consensus about national security. The two parties differed hugely on domestic things, but with some exceptions, everyone, Lindsey included, were, you know, committed to national security. Lindsey Graham also very pro-military. Now, with the GOP being an autocratic party in the service of Trump, who is allied with people who want to bring the United States down, and I'm going to say this carefully, the GOP no longer, and I'm referring to Putin, no longer has the same understanding or commitment to national security. And we can see many things going on in that light. The demonization of the FBI, the stance they're taking on Ukraine. And it's a very grave and sad thing to say, but this is why Jack Smith, when he read about the indictment, when he spoke about the indictment, foregrounded national security. It's not just that the documents that Trump had put our nation at risk. It's that this party, which is backing him, now does not have the national security and safety of our country as its main objective because they're allied with people like Putin who want to take us down.
But how effective? I mean, Donald Trump was talking to a crowd of his supporters, which, in my opinion, seems to be dwindling the hardcore, because some people walk away from him every time there's an indictment or a charge or the E. Jean Carroll thing. But there is a hardcore group of people who support him. At what point does this start trickling down? I've not yet heard any of my conservative friends use the weaponization term yet, but it's now being used by almost every elected Republican who supports Donald Trump. How far before this type of nonsense? Because you always talk about the fact that all you have to do is repeat it and put it out on Trump's social media site that nobody, reads, but it gets around. How long before this becomes a thing? That this isn't about stealing documents. This isn't about the Espionage Act. This isn't about paying off someone to win an election. This isn't about anything else. It's about the weaponization of government.
Well, it's already trickled down, including, judging from all the emails I get, in the form of the slogan, the Biden regime, that Marjorie Taylor Greene repeats, that Fox News talks about all the time, that the Democrats are the real tyrants. And Biden is, trying to shut down. And this started with COVID and masks and all of this. And that's how propaganda works. When you have a narrative, other things that happen just confirm the narrative, and the indictment most of all. But it's very disturbing, of course, that they've been so successful in getting average people to think that the real authoritarians are the Democrats. And Ben Shapiro has a book on this. So it has already trickled down in ways that people understand. And that's how you get to a point where January 6th, this violent coup attempt, becomes a patriotic act for freedom against tyranny.
Ruth, thanks again for all your work. It's been a long haul for you the last few days, but I guess it's kind of a long haul for you a lot for the last many, many years. Ruth Ben-Ghiat is a professor of history at New York University. Her book, Strong Men, From Mussolini to the Present, is important reading, as is her newsletter, Lucid.